and with the arm you don't go beyond the limit of that, and the feet are not above the ankles. So for the arm, not above the in Arabic, the hand up to the elbow is the arm, the hand. Yeah. So you don't go beyond the elbow. And with the wiping, you don't wipe 3 times. So the fard is once, the sunnah is twice. So you don't go beyond the limits that are laid down. So the limits of the washing is the minimum is once, the maximum is thrice. Yeah. The wiping, the minimum is once, the maximum is twice.
Is that
the head?
Limb?
No, the head.
The head.
Yeah.
Could you repeat that? The fard is once.
The fard is once for the washing. For the washing. The maximum for the washing of each limb is thrice. You don't go to 4. Yeah. With the wiping, the head is twice. So once is an obligation, second is the sunnah. With the ears, the wiping is once. Yeah. You don't go beyond the limits. Yeah.
And the ears are sunnah or fard?
Sunnah. Sunnah. Because the limits are laid down by the lawgiver. We can't, stick stuff into. When it comes to nafil ibadat, that's a different. But when it comes to fard ibadat, Malikis are sticklers. And I'll tell you how we become literal. Imam Malik radhiyallahu anh, was in the Masjid al-Nabwi. A very great Imam. He's one of the teachers of Imam Shafi, Ali al-Madini. And he came to the Masjid al-Nabwi. And you must have seen, the Tablighi brothers, they have a scarf always on their shoulder, a checkered. So, he came into the mosque with a scarf on his shoulder. So he came, he entered the Masjid al-Nabwi, spread the scarf, chadar out, and then started praying. And Imam Malik called the guards and said, when he finishes, kick him out of the mosque. And the man, this is Imam, he's not ordinary. He's an Imam in knowledge, Imam Ali al-Madini. And Imam Malik's just, kick him out. So the man's weeping when the guards are, dragging him out. He says, what have I done? He says, that's Imam Malik. And he said, kick him out. So he says, at least, take me to him so I can ask why I'm being kicked out of the mosque of the Prophet ﷺ. So they take him to Imam Malik, and Imam Malik says, you've done something that no one has ever done in the masjid of the Prophet ﷺ from this day till the time of the Prophet ﷺ. And the man weeps even further. There's tears pouring down his beard. He says, what have I done? So he says, what have I done? He says, you took the scarf off and put it on the thing. He says, no one puts anything down when they pray in this mosque. It's just that, with fard prayer, we're very particular. It has to be bang on, as much as, humanely possible, that, you get it. So the limits have been laid down by the Prophet ﷺ. We don't go beyond those limits, be it in purity or where we have license, we can. Where we don't have license, we don't go beyond the limits. Verse 69 is that someone who doesn't have the ability to do it all in one go, the wudu, from beginning to end. Yeah? Now, this is in normal weather. in normal weather, if one limb doesn't dry before you wipe or wash the other, then that's fine. For instance, the scenario that the commentator and used to be given in Muslim lands was they used to run out of water. So they're doing wudu and water's run out, so they need to get some water. So the scenarios I give is if the phone rings, the door, someone's at the door, or you got to do something. As long as it's a must, then fine. You've got a reason. And rule of thumb, our jurists have a very simple rule. If you can convince yourself of the argument, you can convince God. If you can't convince yourself, you're not going to convince God. Yeah? So any excuse that you can bring forward that you can convince yourself, then it's acceptable. Yeah? If you can't convince yourself, it's an unacceptable excuse. Yeah? So if there's a reason for not doing it in one go, and it's unacceptable, fine. Otherwise, one go. Verses 80 to 81 is that if you forget, this is I think one of the sisters asked before that if you forget to do a fard action, wash one of the limbs which are fard or wipe, and you walk away, as long as you have not walked away from where you're doing wudu, yeah,
Then
you can go back and do it.
just that one action.
Yeah, you don't have to do the whole right from the beginning, because it's in Shafi fiqh it's an obligation that you do it all in one order. With us it's a sunnah. It's not an obligation. You can just go back and do for instance, you've forgotten to wash one of your arms, yeah, so you just go back and wash your arm. If God forbid that you've prayed any prayer, all the prayer null and void. If you miss a fard, yeah, if you miss a sunnah, your prayer is valid, your wudu is valid. If you miss a mustahab, your prayer is valid, your wudu is valid.
And if you remember the fard whilst you're doing the wudu, do you go back to that fard action?
No.
And continue from where you?
No, you continue.
You finish.
You finish.
And then
Then you go back. Yeah. Okay. What we've got is now the section what breaks wudu. This is verses 72 to 75. How the madhab divides things is that certain things cause wudu to be broken, so they're causes that break wudu, and certain things break wudu, rather than this breaks wudu and this doesn't. Now, wind and urine, they break wudu. Now, wind and urine has to come out through the normal passages. If it comes out abnormally, it does not break wudu. Example, like wind comes out through the front passage. urine comes out through the back passage. It's come out abnormally. Does not break wudu. It has to be natural.
So if somebody may have a is it a colostomy or something where it's outside of themselves, or it's not going through the natural passage, that wouldn't necessarily count as
I think that's a different case.
okay.
We're talking about natural.
Okay.
That's an abnormal. But it needs to come out abnormally through the passages. Incontinence. I was told that, I didn't know this. I got corrected there. In the UK now, the adult nappies are matching baby nappies or going more. But a lot of adult nappies get sold. But incontinence, we're looking at incontinence of urine, incontinence of stool. Under incontinence, even, I think if we just stick with those. Now,
is incontinence counted as unnatural?
Incontinence breaks wudu. Incontinence breaks wudu. But if it is, hold on. Incontinence, if you can't this is the one thing that, you can't diagnose.
Yeah.
You need to be diagnosed by a professional. So if a doctor says, yes, this is incontinence. Certain people have got, this phobia of my wudu's breaking. Phobia, it needs to break. If it's a phobia, it won't be counted. If you suffer from incontinence of urine, of stool, incontinence of stool, you need to get medical help. You must get a medical help. And then for each prayer, you do wudu, then you pray. If you begin praying, even if you can feel the urine dripping or stool coming out, you carry on, because it's abnormal. But it's recommended that you do wudu for each prayer.
So sorry, does it break? It breaks wudu.
No,
it
doesn't break your prayer.
Okay.
It doesn't break your prayer. But you need to do wudu for each prayer. As for stool, that breaks wudu anyway. It's just like urine will break, stool will break. Now, sleep. Sleep is a cause of wudu breaking. It does not break wudu, but it will cause the wudu to break. So sleep gets divided into 4 types. So you've got deep sleep, which is a short deep sleep, or a long period of deep sleep breaks wudu. Yeah. Light sleep, be it a long period or a short period, does not break wudu. So how do I know what's light and what's a deep period of sleep? Hold on, let me answer it and then I'll take questions. If you were sitting there and snoring, and I came and took the pen from your hand and you gripped the pen, that's light sleep. And if you were sitting there snoring and I took the pen and you didn't even notice me taking the pen, that's deep sleep. So deep sleep breaks wudu. Light sleep does not break wudu. The recommendation is that you do wudu. It's just a recommendation. It does not mean that your wudu has broken from light sleep. Yes, question.
What I want to say is the conscious. If you feel conscious or you're conscious, then you feel light sleep. I want to answer your question. That's what it's a question about. But I have. What if you can't remember? You have this light sleep and then you don't remember. You're not sure if you were.
No, that's why the jurists, the scholars say that from light sleep, it's recommended that you renew your wudu. Okay. So the covering of posts, just in case. But light sleep does not break wudu. It's like you're sitting here and you nod off, and someone takes the pen and you grasp it. Your wudu is still valid. Madhi. There's a very famous saying of the Prophet ﷺ that there's no shame in the deen. Some of the stuff will get graphic, but we're all in a learning mode. Now, Madhi is someone told me it's prostatic fluid, but it's a light, clear fluid that when the male member's sexual organ is aroused or is erect, it comes out. So that breaks wudu. And it can be, if you've been playing with yourself or you've watched something, seen someone, thought about someone, whatever has led to it, if there's that white, clear liquid, it breaks wudu.
But it doesn't necessitate ghusl.
If you ejaculate, it will.
Okay,
Yeah, if you ejaculate, it will. But if it just breaks wudu. Now, intoxication, fainting spell, and losing consciousness or madness. These again are causes of wudu breaking.
What is
fainting completely or just feeling?
Pardon?
What if you're feeling faint but you haven't fainted?
If you're feeling faint, if you're fully in control of your... Can someone close the door? If you're fully in control of your senses, then because why there are causes of wudu being broken, because you've lost consciousness.
So it's the loss of consciousness.
It's the loss of consciousness that's breaking wudu.
Okay.
So, what is the definition of intoxication? Like when is someone
intoxicated?
Yeah, intoxicated.
Okay.
Is it just alcohol or can it be other things?
Here we're not talking about alcohol. Sakran here is sakran al-halal. You can have a belly full of food and be intoxicated.
Wow.
Yeah. Have you had a belly full of food and what happens?
You don't want to leave.
Oh,
You want to sleep.
Yeah.
You're not off. You've lost wudu.
It's kind of like a cause.
It's a cause. Yeah, that's why it's a cause. I've never had it, but you know, milk that's what's it called? Fermented milk hasn't, you know, turned fully. That intoxicates. So it's halal, but it intoxicates.
So may I ask, is it that the nodding, you nod off after sleep?
Yeah.
Is it the nodding off that breaks the sleep, or is it because you may have had wind or whatever and not noticed it?
What these three categories, are you going back to sleep? Because we're dealing with intoxication, faintness,
Okay,
and madness.
Let's go with these. So they break wudu in themselves, or they break wudu?
They're causes. They're causes of wudu breaking. Just like, you know, sleep is a cause of wudu breaking.
And you spoke about it's halal intoxication. Does that mean haram intoxication will invalidate the wudu?
With haram, you got more than just breaking wudu.
It's gotta be-
No, we've had, you know, people who've been drunk and led prayer. Yeah. Go and read our history books, you'll find. And then they've said, I've prayed 4, do you want me to pray another rakat? Okay. Touching and kissing. Now, both of them are causes of wudu breaking. Now, with, you know, touch, we're actually talking about arousal. It's not, you know, the Shafi understanding where skin-to-skin contact automatically breaks wudu. And it's not, you know, the Hanafi understanding where, you know, you can fondle your wife and wudu doesn't break. The Maliki understanding is it's you, what your intention was. If you intended to be, you touched someone and your intention was to be aroused and you were aroused, wudu's gone.
So if somebody intended to be aroused, what was it?
Wudu's not broken. Because the intention was not to be aroused. No.
No, if they touched, for instance, their wife,
Yes.
with the intention to be aroused, and they just weren't.
They're not.
For whatever reason.
Okay.
Nothing on the wife's part.
No. No. Because usually they say that, you know, if you intend and the intention is to be aroused and you are aroused, wudu breaks. You intend no arousal, no break. You did not intend to be aroused and you were not aroused, wudu's not broken.
But if you didn't intend to be aroused and was aroused, your wudu is broken.
No, because your intention was not
Okay.
that. It's only one, that will. That, you know, you intended and was aroused, you will. Again, it goes back to your intention.
is that true for kissing as well?
We're coming to kissing. We're coming to kissing. Okay. Kissing. There's one category of kissing that always breaks wudu. The intent or arousal is not taken into consideration at all. Is if you kiss someone on the lips of the opposite sex, it will break wudu. Kissing someone on the cheek as a greeting or someone does not break wudu.
As a greeting, could you say? Where it's just, for instance, just saying salam, or whether it's...
Yeah, as a greeting. As a greeting. I always get asked that, here, that, the spouse will, kiss his spouse, just to say goodbye, agree on the lips, breaks wudu. Just get into a habit of kissing the cheek.
Got a romance.
Huh? No, it's just that,
This might sound really silly, but some parents, there's obviously no sexual intent in it at all, kiss their kids on the lips. I find that
I've heard of this.
I find that personally strange.
I do as well. I've heard of it.
And I've seen other parents that it's purely...
Saghiras, it doesn't come into, with children, it doesn't come into play.
And given that arousal is a sliding scale,
It is.
does one is the assumption that
The onus is on you.
So
The onus is always on you. Who's going to, who's the judge? You are. Yeah? You know if you are aroused or not. So you know if you intend to be aroused when you touch the opposite sex. You know if you want, if you're kissing, the opposite, your spouse, whatever you're kissing, and your intention is to be aroused and you are aroused, your wudu is broken. But if you, intend just to say goodbye, a peck on the cheek, doesn't. If you say goodbye and kiss her on the lips, wudu's gone. Our lot don't take into consideration arousal or no arousal. Wudu's gone. It's just to we change our culture a bit. Okay. The next one is a women specific. If a woman touches her privates with her fingers, does not break wudu. If she inserts them, breaks wudu. We had this, because the next one is if the man, if the male touches his penis with the palm of his hand, can you see the whiteness? Yeah, and the fingers as well, the tips, skin to skin. If it touches your penis, wudu breaks. If it's really thin cloth in which you can feel it, jeans, trousers are excused, then it will. We had this scholar who said that, so why doesn't the wudu break for the women? So he said that, it breaks for the women, and the people laughed and said, how can we? We can't give that opinion. Because for the men, we have a hadith. For the women, we don't have a hadith. So for women, wudu doesn't break if they touch their privates. Men, it does. He was equal.
Just a question: is that regardless of intention? Again,
for men?
Yeah.
Yeah. Regardless.
And the same for women, regardless of your intention.
With the woman, if she touches the lips or of her privates, it doesn't break wudu. If she inserts, regardless of
because sometimes, like for instance, they might be doing that for inspection.
No, you're not doing it. Someone else is doing it.
No,
that's a different thing.
When you for yourself, when you're you're kind of recommended to inspect yourself to make sure there isn't anything.
Okay.
When it comes to health and whatnot.
Again, the well-known opinion is that if the fingertips or fingers are inserted, it breaks wudu. But again, the conversation we had before. If women looked at these, they might come up with a different opinion. Okay. Doubt. Now, if I'm in doubt, have I? The scenario is, I've done wudu. Now I'm in doubt. Did I break wudu? So have I got wudu?
Yes.
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 I think it's not.
It's probably not. It's probably the other way around. That's the Hanafi position, isn't it?
Doubt breaks wudu.
Really?
Okay.
Doubt breaks
It's the
wudu.
total opposite.
So is a Hanafi? It's not.
You still got wudu, basically.
With us, because what you've got to understand is in ibadat and in iman, in belief, we're trying to reach certainty. So our whole goal in our journey to God is to have certainty.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's doubt, it's gone.
So even if you were certain you made wudu, but you're
Then-
doubting if you broke it.
If you broke it,
You have doubts whether you broke it or not.
right.
I don't know.
So shak breaks wudu. Doubt breaks wudu.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it has to be a sustained doubt. For instance, if you doubt it,
Yeah.
and then you ask, for instance, "Oh, did I do my wudu?" And then somebody reminds you, "Yeah, you were in the room," and then you go, "Okay, yeah."
Yeah.
Somebody else kind of verifies it for
Yeah.
you, even though perhaps you don't quite recall.
Yeah. I'd still go and do wudu.
Yeah. So you just count it as it breaks it full stop. Like whether or not
Doubt
you
breaks
were-
wudu.
But if you then remember, actually I did, it doesn't count.
Go and do it.
You just do it.
No, I'll tell you why. Because then you're in yaqeen. You need to be certain. Yeah. So when you're in certainty, you're in certainty, and that's what the deen is. It's trying to get you to that certainty.
But sometimes,
Yeah.
I'm just on a bit of a tangent,
Yeah.
but sometimes psychologically,
Yeah.
some people have psychological problems as well. They will,
Yeah.
if they keep doubting
Those are
themselves-
excused.
Okay, but if sometimes when you doubt yourself when you make the wudu,
Yeah.
then you might get into that kind of cycle.
That's how you break the cycle. Because how you break the cycle is you do wudu. Yeah.
Is that
And
like
if-
waswas?
Pardon?
Is it like waswas?
That's how you end waswasa. Because the way you end, whispering is you always go to certainty. So you're certain that you've done wudu. You're certain that you've prayed.
Sheikh, is that like the hadith that you're hard on yourself?
No, because the Prophet ﷺ says, go to where there's certainty. Da'ma yuribuka ila ma la yuribuk. When there's doubt, go to where there's no doubt. Yeah. So it's a principle of the deen. Da'ma yuribuka ila ma la yuribuk. And it's the very words of the Prophet ﷺ. Yes.
I have a question relating to prayer.
Yeah.
If you're praying and for some reason you've been distracted by something and you can't, let's say you're in the third rak'ah,
Yeah.
and you can't remember whether it's the third or the fourth.
Okay.
I've heard from a sheikh in Morocco, Sheikh Nahari, he said to just continue. Don't,
No.
you don't.
No.
You go back from the beginning.
No. You go to two. If you're in doubt, if you're doubtful, if you've prayed, if you're in the fourth rak'ah or third rak'ah, you're certain you've prayed two. So you go to certainty. So you're certain you've prayed two. You never go to the beginning. You're certain. You always go back to certain. Okay. Doubt. There's the last one on, the causes of breaking wudu is kufr, disbelief. Now, this always gets people. How does, disbelief break wudu? They're actually not looking at that. They're not looking at kufr. They're actually looking at someone who was a Muslim, left the deen, then came back into the deen. Has he still got wudu?
Depends how long he's left, I guess.
It just tells you a lot about society that Imam Malik was in.
No, they're looking at, has he... No, they're not. He hasn't got wudu. There's a friend of mine, Rahimullah, he's passed away, Sidi Ayman. His joke was that, this Imam was leading the prayer. And, he saw a lion. Yeah? So, people came to him and said, Imam, what do we do when we see a lion? Do we, carry on praying? Or do we run? He says, you check if you've got wudu or not. You check if you've got wudu or not. Okay. Any questions on, breaking wudu? Any things that, yes?
I was going to ask about blood, like if you cut yourself.
Yes.
So, because I was told that if it's consistent blood, then there's something that doesn't break it. If it's just one-off, breaks it.
Okay. Within Islam, within Sunni fiqh, there's this running debate, is blood clean or unclean? With Malikis, bleeding does not break wudu. If you cut and bleed, it's not one of the things that breaks wudu. I'll give you an example. Nosebleeds. When if you have a nosebleed, you carry on praying. Yeah. If you can, you hold your nose. The tip of your nose. It's always the tip of the nose to stop it. If it won't stop, you put a finger up your nose. No, you try everything. And now, but while you're holding it, if the blood starts, dripping, yeah, then you break your prayer. You say salam. You go and wash the blood. Yeah, wash the blood. See if it stops. You stop it, whatever. And if you're in Jamaat, you come back and join the Jamaat and carry on.
Without doing...
No, it does not break wudu. So, bleeding doesn't. It's not a cause that breaks wudu. Yeah. Yes.
Vomiting.
Vomiting doesn't break wudu. How is it doesn't break wudu?
No, because I've heard. Maybe it's in the.
It'll break your prayer.
But it won't break your.
It won't break wudu.
What plus?
Doesn't. No. Anything else?
What about laughing and so on?
Breastfeeding, is that?
Pardon?
Breastfeeding.
What, breaking wudu?
Yeah.
No.
You wouldn't have to be recommended to do it again because you might.
No. Breastfeeding does not break wudu.
I didn't think so. I was just checking.
No, does not break wudu.
Okay.
What about laughing in salah?
Pardon?
Laughing in salah.
Will break your prayer, but not your wudu. Will break your prayer, not wudu. Yes.
And just one last question about madhi.
Madhi.
So is that specifically for men?
Yes.
For women, there's no equivalent. For instance, vaginal discharge, or because some people they say I don't know if there's a difference in opinion, but they say type of vaginal discharge this one might nullify wudu and this one doesn't. Is that something we go to the women's scholars?
I'm not very. There is a thing called mucus, a mucus discharge. It will break wudu. Because the thing is, it's a discharge that's coming from the genitals. That's what you're looking at. Because if you divide it, if you look at it, the prostatic fluid, the urine, the mucus, stool, it's all coming from the two orifices. It's breaking wudu. So whatever comes out of the two orifices will break wudu. It's a general rule of thumb. Are we done? Okay. Verse 86. Now it's an obligation to clean when we urinate or defecate. It's an obligation. Now, with a man, when he urinates, he makes sure there's no urine in his sexual organ. He pulls it, shakes it. But he does not harm it. But what you've got to do is you've got to make sure that there's no urine left in both of the orifices. There shouldn't be any feces left. So you shouldn't be hurrying when you going for a call of nature. I think all of us are familiar with when the Prophet ﷺ, passed the grave. Someone was being punished in the grave, and he says he's being punished for something so minor, because when he used to urinate, it used to splatter. So what you do is you make sure that there's no feces or urine left inside the two orifices. So you make sure that you're fully relaxed. It comes out. Our toilets are not designed, the best way for, the call of nature. Because, when you defecate, the way that, when you squat, it helps in clearing the passage better than, sitting. With the urine, again, you make sure that, the bladder is as clear as possible. I don't like this terminology because people make fun of it, but again, it's what I've grown up with. I was taught this 20 years ago, or even more. When you go to the toilet for the man in this country, wrap a piece of tissue around it. The joke is put a turban on it. Yeah, wrap a piece of tissue, because however much you do. Because again, keep in mind, you want that certainty. Yeah? And once, then, later, when throw the tissue off, you need to wash it, then do wudu. But there's no, obligation to do wudu straight away. The recommendation is that you delay it. Because, if you go to Muslim countries, the toilet, so never part of the mosque. They're always opposite, a bit of distance, so you've got to walk. So you go to the toilet and you walk to the mosque, and by that time, and then the wudu area is in the mosque. And traditionally, there were no toilets in Muslim houses. Yeah.
So does like any haram act break the wudu, like drinking alcohol, swearing?
Swearing doesn't break wudu, yeah.
Doesn't break wudu.
Yeah. And drinking alcohol doesn't break wudu either. It breaks a lot of other things. Yeah. But doing haram is that you're doing haram. But if you've got wudu and you're doing haram, those actions will not break your wudu. Okay.
Can I just...
Yes.
Delaying the wudu, you mean you recommend to delay it to just before you go in for prayer? Because I thought we should always try and stay in wudu.
The obligation for tahara only kicks in once, the time of prayer comes in. If you want to be in wudu, alhamdulillah, it's good. Because, one of the armours of the Muslim is that, they're continuously in wudu. If you can do it, alhamdulillah, but don't go to the extreme. I have a dear friend of mine, very pious. He ended up in hospital because, he damaged his kidneys and because he was holding back his urine for so long. He didn't want to break his wudu.
Just be natural and relaxed.
Yeah, just be natural and relaxed. The obligation for wudu only kicks in when you need to pray. Yeah? The piety thing, alhamdulillah, is good. If you can do it, good. If you can't do it, alhamdulillah. Okay. Right. 88. Personal hygiene, how you clean yourself after you've been to the toilet. Now, traditionally, they used to wipe with stone, istijmar. In poor Muslim countries, they still do. They use pieces of clay or they use some stone or whatever, to wipe the feces off or, wipe the urine. Here, we use tissues. So, because we're dealing with here, will you change the stone to tissue?
Unless you want to go back to...
Yes. Well, you're going to have a problem flushing the stones down. Yeah. Now, for both, you have a choice to use tissue or water. The ideal is you use tissue and water. Yeah? But if you are stuck, not stuck, if you are in a place where there's only tissue, then tissue will suffice. Yeah? Tissue will suffice. If you've defecated, you wipe yourself.
That's considered clean enough for you to then do your wudu? Or
no, when you need to do, if you need to do wudu, then go and wash it. But if you wiped yourself and there's no feces on your person, then that's clean enough for wudu.
Really?
Yes.
I was under the impression that one always had to use water.
No. The ideal is that you use both. If you have one or the other, it will do. Because what you've got to do is make sure that there's no feces on you. And we're meaning, the ring itself. Yeah? Now, if it's spread on your person, of course you need to wash it. So what you do is you wipe, back and front, and then, wash it. I'm talking about the ideal. And then wipe it again. Yeah? But what you've got to do is you've got to look at, where we are. Sometimes it's really strange. You see, people going into the toilet with little bottles of water, but there's no need to. Because if you can wipe, and you can get home and you can wash it.
Why would you wash it?
It's because just that, we come from a culture where we wash.
I get that we do, but if it's...
No, not your culture. You see, English culture is different. Because the thing is that, you see, I'm talking about, Punjabi and Pakistani culture. We've been brought up, to wash. English people wipe. And alhamdulillah, they do a good job. Right? No. The thing is, you've got to understand that's people's culture. Yeah? Now, if they do a good job, then that's a good job. Because the thing is, look, you know the ayah in the Quran where you know the dua that you make after wudu, Allahumma jalni min at-tawwabin wa jalni min al-mutatahhirin. It's based on the ayah that the you know the Qurayshi thing, you know the people from Mecca, you know they were you know proper he-man. They didn't wash, and they said that was a sissy thing. Men, you know, use stone. They don't wash because they used to. The people in Medina, you know, the men used to wash. They didn't used to use stone. Yeah, this is the thing that I was saying before. You don't need to, because they just used to use stone. Yeah, so then you know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent this ayah down that Allah loves those. Allahumma jalni min at-tawwabin wa jalni min al-mutatahhirin. That Allah loves those who turn to Him and you know purify themselves. And then you know the muhajirs came and said, "Is that us?" Said, "No, the ones who wash."
So what about if you use a stone? I thought it was in the likeness of using a stone for tayammum.
No, that's
you can't use a tissue for tayammum. So.
No. We're talking about personal hygiene.
Yeah, but you use a stone to clean yourself.
No, that's a different. We'll come to it. We'll, inshallah, if we have time.
What I'm really trying to understand is you say it's sufficient to use paper, and then you say, but you'd go home and wash. That's just because that's ideal, that you wouldn't actually have to.
No, because keep in mind, we need certainty.
Mm-hmm. Right.
If you are certain that you've cleaned with paper, that suffice. With me, yeah, I've got, you know, that's how my brain's, you know, been molded. Whatever I use, I could use a whole mill. I will still have to use water. Because that's how I've been brought up. But you know, if you've got that certain that it's clean, then it's clean. Yes.
Always.
Water. You got to use water. Yeah, water.
I take a bottle. I have an empty bottle in my bag.
That's it. No, that's what I'm saying.
I know when a Muslim lady's been in the toilet because I'll see an empty
bottle.
Exactly. Because I make it for her because I'm like, cool, that's for me. I'll find an empty cup. I will do anything to get water.
No, because that's how we've been wired.
Yeah. But it is cleaner, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. Because I didn't understand what skid marks were until I was much, much older.
Okay.
Because that's apparently, you know, to do with cleanliness.
Okay. So. But we're clear. What you do, the ideal, if you are stuck, whatever you get stuck, there's no water. If you use tissue, it will suffice as long as you do a good job. Yeah. Have we got any questions on wudu or personal hygiene? Oh, we did wudu. Leave wudu. Any on personal hygiene? I don't want to go back. Yes.
For example, you go to sleep at night.
Yes.
And then if you wouldn't know if there was a discharge or not.
Yes.
And there's a high chance that it would have gone on your trousers or anywhere.
Yeah.
And then you go and pray with those clothes. That's an issue, isn't it?
Well, the thing is that, you know, this is the thing about, you know, English culture is they wear a different set of clothes. They wear pajamas. Well, they used to, or some people still do. So you change your clothes. But if there's been a discharge, you're talking about wet dream.
No, it's just like minimal.
Minimal.
But you wouldn't be aware of it if it was minimal.
The thing is that when you get up, it's good. Most people need to go to the toilet, so you'd wash yourself. Yeah? So that would get off, you know, any anything on your person.
But on the clothes?
On the clothes, if you see it,
then we know.
Yeah.
If not, then
because the thing is that to remove najas from your person, you must have the ability, and you must remember. Yeah, you must have remember. You must know that there's najas on your person. Yeah, you must know there's najas on your person. then you must have the ability to remove it.
So what's najis?
Filth.
Yeah, no, about dogs. I know Maliki fiqh has a kind of unique understanding versus the other schools when it comes to dogs being considered, or their saliva or something being considered impure.
It's not just dogs. Pigs are clean as well.
So if say for instance a dog licks your hand or anything, would that?
It doesn't break wudu by Hanafi fiqh either.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's just people don't know their fiqh. If you pet a dog and you're Hanafi, it does not break your wudu.
So is there anything that where touching an animal would break your wudu or would be considered impure?
With Malikis?
Yeah, with Malikis. With that. I'm not really.
If the animal is, no, I can't think of it. No, because the thing is that we have a carte blanche rule that if it's alive, it's clean. If it's alive, it's clean, unless Allah or His Messenger has categorically said that this is not. But we do not have no text that this animal is unclean.
So where does the basis of this come from in other schools then? Why is there such?
It goes back to do we take tawatur or do we take singular narrations? Well, the mother lays a stress on that we will take the principles will be the Quran and the mass transmitted. So the clear-cut principle is if it's alive, that's the thing that makes it clean.
Can you have a dog?
Do you need a dog?
Like if it's not a dog?
No, that's a different question now.
Yeah. Just in terms of animals, so somebody has a pet or whatever.
No, you see, this is the thing. Why do you need a pet?
No, I mean, I'm just thinking about purification and prayer, for instance. If you're in somebody else's house, they've got a dog, you want to go pray.
It's fine.
It's fine. Because I have a dog and obviously sometimes his fur's all over the place.
Dog is not unclean. Yeah. And just because you have raised it, dog is not a cause of angels going away either. Yeah. No.
We believe in.
Don't take that.
You can have your dog now.
Dogs are not cause of angels going away. Yeah. If dogs were unclean, why would God talk about a dog? And why would He describe the mannerism of the dog, how it lay, how loyal it was, and that dog's going to Jannah. So an unclean animal is going to Jannah. Where the angels are going to be. All the angels are going to leave.
Just so I can read it later, what narration is that?
Which one?
It's in the Quran.
Is it the Quran? Surah Kahf? Surah the cave?
Yeah.
The cave?
The dog thing is...
Yeah.
So dog licking does not break you with it at all?
No.
It's not considered najis on your clothes.
No.
Just their urine and defecation, obviously.
It's just if it licks the bowl, isn't it?
Pardon?
It's just if his saliva goes inside, if it licks a bowl.
The bowl's not unclean, but we clean the bowl as an act of ibadah.
Okay. Now,
7 times or something.
Yeah, because the Prophet ﷺ said.
So now we're sort of in that realm. What about statues? Because I know statues are mentioned in the Quran.
Can we go back to Ghusl?
I think my question was valid as well. Because mine was more this is going off on.
But it's still about prayer. It's still like the validation
No.
of prayer.
Look. Dogs is a different thing. Statues is a different thing. Yeah. Statues is a different thing. Just get rid of them. They get rid of angels, don't they? But dogs don't get rid of angels. How many angels do you have with you? 2. Yeah, you're right. You got 4.
I said 7.
You said 7.
Is that wrong?
No, there's
I said at least 2. So
okay, there's actually 24, but I'm not going to go into them.
One for every animal.
there's actually 24, but there's 4 with you all the time. Yeah, and none of them leave when angels come. That hadith is specific to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It was to do with the angels of revelation, not to do with me and you angels. Okay, we're done. Let's move on to ghusl. The faraid of ghusl. Yeah, the faraid of ghusl are 4. This is verse 78 to 80. To 80. So the first intention, the first fard is intention. Again, depends on why you're doing ghusl for. If it is, junub, you can be specific. Yeah, major. If you're sexually defiled, not defiled. God. I need to do a bit of dhikr, don't I? It's all these dogs. No, if you've been intimate with your partner, that's what junub is. Usually, when we're talking about, the obligatory ghusl, that's in Muslim life. That's the main ghusl that you're looking at. That's an obligation. So the intention here is always that you make it, to remove major impurity or to fulfill the obligation of ghusl.
So there's a difference between the two?
Say again?
Is it
it's actually the same. It depends on whichever wording you're happy with. As long as if you keep in mind what we were talking about when we began with wudu, the intention general rather than specific. So don't make the intention on making ghusl for Jummah. Yeah.
So is like a sexual ejaculation the only way to become into major ritual impurity? Or
yes.
Is there no other ways?
I don't know of any other. Do you?
I don't know, so I was asking you.
Because the thing is that a human being doesn't become unclean. It's just that we go into states of uncleanliness. We don't become, as a person, we never become unclean. Okay. The second is like wudu, one continuous action. So the ghusl is all one washing the whole body, all in one continuous action, rather than taking breaks in between.
So if you run out of water again.
Yeah. The third is dulk, which is rubbing, gentle rub of the whole body. Here you can use aids, something. You can use a brush, you can use a rope. If your spouse is helpful, you can ask her to help. It's not a problem. If you've got a servant.
Her or him.
Pardon?
Her or him.
Yeah. I got no problem. I got no problem. Whoever. But what you've got to do is you've got to make sure that the water has reached the whole body, the whole skin. All of it has been washed, because it's an act of worship again, like wudu.
So even if you don't, but you have to rub everywhere.
You're aiming. That's your aim. You're trying.
The aim for rubbing is to ensure that water reaches there.
Water reaches.
So if you've got a shower head.
Shower.
And
you still use your hand. Still use it.
So for instance, if you're trying to do your back.
Get a brush.
Or reach over. Even if the water reaches there with the shower head, one must do.
Yeah, because then what's happened is you've poured water over your back. You've not washed it. Do you see?
Okay.
Yeah, you need to wash it.
So, okay.
Yeah. Okay. The fourth obligatory action is you've got to make sure that water reaches your skull. You know, the skin of your skull.
The scalp.
Yeah, the scalp. That's the word, scalp. Using your whatever your fingertips. And all your other hair as well. If your beard is thick and long, you've got to make sure that water gets to the skin of your facial hair, of your head hair, whatever the hair is. You've got to make sure that water gets to it.
So with water must reach the scalp, that's specifically the skin on one's head.
Yes.
As for all of the hair being completely wet.
Yes.
Is that something that's included? So if you've got very long hair, you must ensure that all of it. Yes. Completely wet.
Completely. And if you've got plaited hair or braided hair or false hair, doesn't matter. It needs to get wet.
So if
you don't need to undo any of it.
You can keep the plait.
You can keep the plait. You can keep the braid. As long as Sayyidah Salma radiallahu ta'ala anha, the wife of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, she had braided hair. So she came to the Prophet and says, "What do I do with these?" He says, "Bring me water." So he took a plaited hair, put it in his head, and he poured water over it. He says, "This is what you do." So you just got to make sure that all the hair gets soaked and washed.
False hair, did you mean?
No, people can have extensions.
So the extensions must also be wet.
No, everything it needs to be washed. But that completes the 4 obligations. But what needs to be kept in mind is the obligation is to wash the whole body from the head to the toes, all of it once. Yeah, every part of it. Any questions on those?
So there's no order or anything?
There's no. The obligation are those 4.
Okay. So if you fulfill those 4, it's sufficient?
It will fulfill the obligation of ghusl. The sunan of wudu are 4. The sunnah actions of wudu. Yeah?
Ghusl.
Of ghusl, sorry. I'm still in wudu. Okay.
I have one question.
Yes.
The ghusl after janub, does it have to happen straight away, or can it wait until?
Get some memory. Pardon.
The ghusl after janub, it has to happen straight away, or you can wait until the next day.
For janub?
Yeah.
It depends on you.
Because you want to be in a state of purity when you sleep or something. But
you can go and wash your privates, and you can do wudu, or it wouldn't be valid anyway, but you can do tayammum, because usually what you find is a lot of people have tayammum stones. They keep them next to their bed. They'll before they come out, they'll do tayammum and then go to the bathroom, or if they want to go to sleep. But if you do want to sleep, this text doesn't cover it. The recommendation is wash your privates. Yeah, that you wash your privates. But if you go to sleep without washing them, there's no sin. There's no sin.
as long as it's in front of
as long
before the prayer.
Yeah, because the obligation will only come in when you've got When you get up, then the obligation for ghusl will kick in. Because the obligation of ghusl from janub is an obligation in itself. It's not attached to any prayer. Yeah? So when you get up from your bed, now you know you're up now, you're not going to sleep, then you need to wash.
And if you are going to go back to sleep, for instance, if you go to the loo or whatever, you don't have to.
You don't have to.
But it's recommended. It's better. If
Well, it's better if you just wash your genitals and go to sleep. Yeah, because the whole thing is of cleanliness. The Prophet ﷺ would do ghusl straight away. He would every time he slept with his wife, he would go and wash his genitals. But for men, the recommendation for men, I do not know of the women. I'll be lying if I said I did. I've never looked into it. And I'll tell you the truth, our texts won't even go into that much detail. For the men, the recommendation is always, to have wash their genitals before they go to sleep. And what I understand is that, most doctors in this country say that you urinate before you go to sleep.
That's both for the men and the women.
Yeah. But those, and there's a lot more research than our scholarship has done on that.
Sheikh,
Yes.
there's no there's no recommendation in regards to making wudu after the ghusl or before. Is there anything like that in the madhab?
The thing is that ghusl would only be valid if you could do. Say it again, wudu.
So yes, what happens is basically you make your ghusl, and after your ghusl you make wudu. Well, I think it could be the other way around. I'm not too sure, but you make your wudu.
Ghusl. We'll deal with it. We'll deal with it. Yeah. So the sunnah aspects of ghusl are 4. So the mudmud, swirling water once, putting water and swirling it around you inside your mouth. That's once. The second is washing your hands up to your elbows before you begin washing. Before you begin the ghusl, and before you put them in, the water tub, or if you're using a tub. And now we just use showers, but people still use tubs. The third sunan is, sniffing water and blowing it out. And that's just once. The fourth is making sure you wash inside the ear. Not where we wipe, but inside, the hole itself. So you make sure that you wash it inside. When you go to the gym, or if you've gone for a long walk, sweat gathers inside it. That's the whole thing, that there's sweat, you're making sure.
Just a quick question.
Yes.
I know you've done just
go
a quick question. With wudu, if you do any sunnah in the wudu, would you have to do all the sunnahs or one or two?
It's impossible to do wudu and leave a sunnah out, because it's just, they're so integrated.
Okay.
They're so integrated. Okay. That finishes, the 4 sunnah of wudu. Now, the recommended actions of ghusl, are 7. This is verse 82 to 83. So the first recommendation, if there's any bodily fluids on your person, you wash those off first.
Presumably they would have to come off before you pray.
Pardon?
They would have to come off before you pray.
No, we're talking about ghusl with nothing to do with prayer. This is ghusl. This is, having a shower. Yeah? Major ablution.
Why is it a recommendation, not an obligation?
Because if you went into the shower, turned the shower on, took a shower, obligation is finished. How you take the shower, that's the recommendation. Do you understand? Because there are certain things which are sunnah that you make sure that you do, but how you wash. Majority of these recommendations, the other madhabs say are sunnah. We don't, because if you leave a sunnah on purpose, it's big. It's not a sin, but you're leaving something that the Prophet ﷺ did.
Even with prayer, if you miss out the sunnah prayer, it's quite big.
As we said before, that we don't have in 24 hours. There's only one rakat, which is sunnah muakkada. There are no other sunnahs, so it's very easy for us. Okay. So you would, any bodily fluids, you would wash them off, your personal, your privates, and you would wash them thoroughly, so you don't have to go back to them. The third is saying Basmallah. I'll bring this all together afterwards.
So where's the second?
Where's the second?
That is the second, saying Basmallah.
You said the third.
No, I said the first. The first recommendation is to wash any bodily fluids, including your genitals. Okay. The second is
you said third, but you went second.
I went second. Second is the Basmallah. The third is pouring water 3 times over your head.
Consecutively, 1, 2, 3.
If it's a shower, then it's just constant.
It's fine.
So the recommended action.
We're talking about recommendations. I'll bring it all together for you in a minute.
It's just outlining.
Yeah?
Then he's going to do the magic.
Yeah, sure. We'll make it all into one. Because what you've got to keep in mind, the obligation is to wash once.
So if you were to fill up a bathtub, make the intention, go inside and literally rub yourself completely, and then come out, you've done the ghusl.
Done. If you walked in, took a shower, job done.
Bath couldn't do it though, because you've got najis in the water.
If you feel like
could you taste sea
Sorry, I wasn't meaning to keep
No, look. Before you go into the shower, just wash your genitals. I mean, before you lie in the bath.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, wash your genitals. Then have a good soak. But you still have to shower afterwards, anyway. Even if after a soak. Okay. The fourth is you would give preference to washing the limbs that you wash in wudu first. That would be the preference. The fifth recommendation is not wasting water, little water.
How do showers figure into that? Like I know in England there's loads of water, but like Thames Water are doing this big thing to get people to stop showering so much, basically.
Yeah. How that would again, it would be personal practice. That what you do is, when you're soaping yourself, turn the shower off. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But with the shower, the best thing is turn it off. But then getting it back to that temperature and speed again.
Someone who makes that invention.
Yeah.
Didn't the Prophet ﷺ say that even when the Sahaba said, Ya Rasulullah, even if we're at a river,
yeah,
and he said, yes, even at a river, do not waste water.
Yeah. But again, it's the time and age that we live in. The Sahaba didn't have showers.
They were in the desert. It's kind of difficult to have.
How many rivers were there? No, what you've got to understand is that, as a mindset, if we're getting used to the prophetic mind, the prophetic mode is, if there's no need to use that, don't use it. If there's no need to waste it, don't waste it. I've only seen, in all of Birmingham, the airport, Birmingham Airport has, a prayer area that has, sensitive taps. Those are really good. That when you put your hand under, the water comes, and if all mosques use that, it's a mindset that we've not got into. With showers, again, it's a mindset. Turn it off. When you're soaping yourself, turn it back on. Majority of Muslim countries, people who've come from over there, not the new generation that's born here, but the one that came over, they still have buckets and they fill them and they put them. In the bath they sit and they do. Even with the shower, they'll still do it.
So
they'll still do it. Because it's that mindset. It's that mindset that has been given. But in this country, we don't have that mindset. Yeah, we don't have that mindset. But again, what the sensible thing to do is that don't go over the top. Number 6 is that you wash the top part of your body first and the bottom part next. Number 7 is that you wash the right top side first, and then the bottom right side first.
And then you go to the top left.
Okay. With 83 and 85, verse 84 and 85, what I'll do is I'll incorporate it all together for you, because it deals with that. If you do you remember what we covered before, that if the male touches with his palm again, it breaks wudu. So what you do is, scenario is, you've got bodily fluids on your body and your genitals. You'll wash those first. Whatever product that you're going to use, you'll use it and you'll wash it thoroughly. Then you'll wash that off. Then you'll wash your hands. Yeah. Then you'll say Basmallah. Yeah. Then you'll wash your teeth. Mouth. Then you'll nostrils, you'll sniff up water, blow them. Then you'll wash your face, wash your arms, wash your head thrice, right shoulder and front and back and top arm. And then left shoulder, front and back. Yeah. Then right thigh, front and back. And then, the right shin, front and back. Then the left shin, front and back. And then you'll wash your feet.
And
when you finish.
And if you need to pray after.
You've got wudu.
That's
this incorporates the ghusl, incorporates the wudu and the ghusl.
The recommended ghusl or the obligatory?
No, all of them. If you get into habit of doing it this way, or all the time you do it, when you come out of the shower or bath, you've got wudu and ghusl. And this is the way that the Prophet ﷺ used to do wudu. Used to do ghusl.
If you just do the obligatory.
The obligatory is that you walk in.
But would that include, you still have to do wudu afterwards?
Yeah, you would have to do wudu afterwards.
So this kills two birds with one.
This kills two birds with one. Yeah. Okay. Any questions on ghusl?
So
yes.
Just to recap that. Wash bodily fluids.
Yes.
Wash your hands.
Yes.
Then you say Bismillah with the intention of doing ghusl.
Yeah.
And then you swallow in your mouth once.
Yeah.
Sniff once. Wash your face.
Yeah.
Your arms.
Yeah.
Up to your elbows.
Yeah.
3 times on each side, or is for
once is enough.
Once is enough.
Yeah.
As long as you cover it. Head thrice.
Yes.
So is this the thing where you're
just making sure that water has fully, because majority of people's hair is on their head.
Yeah.
You're making sure that if you after that applied whatever product you're using, to wash your hair, if you applied that, washed your hair, then finish with that, then wash the rest of the body the way that I said, that will be fine.
Yeah, I was going to ask about like you said, shampoo or like toothpaste when you do your mouth.
Yeah,
that's fine.
That's fine. It's fine.
Okay, so you're washing it that 3 times just to ensure that the hair's wet.
Yes.
To do it with or without a product.
Yeah.
Then right shoulder, front and back, and the arm, etc. Then your left
front and back.
Front and back. Would that include your face and your neck?
No, because you've already when you've already washed your face.
So it's not required. You're not required. Say, for instance, after you wash your hair, to then start again from the top of your head.
No.
Your ears.
No. What you do is you're doing it all as one action.
Okay. So then your left shoulder, front and back, and right arm. Well, no, just your left shoulder, front and back, and that's it. You wouldn't have to worry.
Yeah, because you've already washed that.
Okay. And then same for your left side.
Yes.
Then you go down to your right thigh, front and back.
Yeah.
Thigh,
front and back.
Shin, knee, shin, front and back, and then your feet would be last.
Last, when you're about to walk out.
Up to your ankles.
You'd wash your feet.
With like how you would do it.
Yeah, as you do.
Once would be enough. But
once would be enough. Yeah.
Could be considered.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry for the blokes. Then you wash your genitals at what point? Right at the beginning.
Right at the beginning.
With the intent.
Whatever you're doing, you wash them fully, so you don't need to go back again. Whatever product you're using, use it again.
Right. And the basmala comes after. So you've got intention, genitals, basmala.
No, what you do is wash it.
Yeah.
Your intention is already there. You've walked into the shower, bathroom.
Go and I need to get clean.
Yeah.
Okay, that's enough.
You've already. That was the reason you went in.
Okay, cool. That's easy.
Yeah. You walked in, wash your genitals, whatever product you're doing.
Right.
Yeah. Yes, sister.
Is there any difference when women have to do ghusl after their period? Is there any amendments, anything different, or is it the same?
Women would do it exactly the same, because after their menses they would have to make sure it's clean, that they clean their product, clean their privates with whatever product they're using, and then they would do wudu, and then wash the exactly the same. Yeah.
What if you do the ghusl and then you think that your period's over, but then you find maybe sometimes after a day you have some discharge a little bit or something, you do the whole ghusl again, or
Is it just
enough to do the
small,
wudu?
small
Just really.
there?
If there's a discharge, you see, if there's a discharge, it's the same with the man. If he feels that there's a discharge from his genitals, he would have to do wudu again.
But the ghusl or the normal wudu?
No, just normal wudu.
Normal wudu.
Normal wudu, not ghusl.
Okay.
Not ghusl.
So, for instance, for women at the end of their period, something that looks like it might be slightly discoloured, as in it's not the normal colour of the blood. You think it might still be a little bit of blood. Would you have to do your major ghusl again, or would you just
What you've got to do is, with the menses, you've got to make sure there's a show of mucus.
Sure.
Once the period stops, there's some kind of mucus right. Once that comes, and it's dry, it's fine.
It must be absolutely clear. So
no doubt, needs to be clear.
And if you have doubt, is prayer then not
no doubt. You need to be sure.
Yeah.
You need to be certain.
Because
say the wives of the Prophet ﷺ, they would be given, by other Muslim Sahabiya, they would, pieces of cotton to make sure. So you need to be certain that it's dry.
Yeah, sometimes I think in some, for instance, the way that I've been raised, perhaps is that it's considered worse, for instance, to miss an obligatory prayer than it would be to avoid it and make sure that you're
No. Because you see, how can you need to be certain. Yeah? Prayer is not an obligation if there's doubt. There needs to be certainty. Yeah? You need to be certain. It's like, someone, I'll give you the scenario. It's a really bad scenario, but someone wants to become Muslim, but it's not sure. Their iman will always be in doubt until they're certain. Yeah? The whole thing of the deen is we're always aiming for certainty.
So if you make ghusl and then you realise actually there's a little bit of that you weren't completely.
Yeah, just wait.
But you've made ghusl, you thought you were.
No, but fine. You've just had a bath. It's nothing major.
So then you do a ghusl again, obviously.
Yeah, just wait. Repeat it.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, so simple.
Because it could happen that you would have praised, you would think yourself.
Again, you see, Allah does not burden a person, because you see, you did it to the best of your ability. Allah will never take you account for that. Never. Okay. Now, the things that, yes.
What is the measurement of the Rasul's water consumption?
I'm not going to go into that one. How much did the Prophet ﷺ use water? He used a certain amount of mud. Yeah. Again, we can't, become that. There was a dear friend of mine which I haven't met for some years now. His sheikh told him that I wear this kind of because I find it comfortable. It's got nothing to do with anything else. People think that this is the sunnah or whatever. It's comfortable. That's all it is. Yeah. So a friend of mine used to have a certain measurement of his kurta, tunic, and I said, why do you have that? He says his sheikh told him that was the sunnah. I said, whose sunnah? That was the sunnah of his sheikh. Yeah? That was the way. Sunnah literally means the way. Yeah? What we do is try to emulate, the sublime character of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's more important. Yeah, inshallah. What obligates ghusl? This is verse 86. The things that obligate ghusl. So it's the bleeding from the monthly cycle for the woman, postnatal bleeding, ejaculation, and penetration into the genitals. Okay. Now, the first and second, bleeding from the monthly cycle and postnatal bleeding. It's clear-cut. There's one myth that I do, like destroying. This 40-day period after childbirth. Forget it. Our women have it too easy. Yeah, it works very well in Pakistan and in India and in Bangladesh. Here, it's not going to work because what traditionally happens is 40 days after giving birth to a child, the woman just doesn't do anything. The nurse comes, she's looked after. All the relatives come together. It's a very good, very good tradition. The woman gets rest. It's got nothing to do with the deen. Yeah? After 40 days, she'll have a ghusl. Now she'll start praying. No. As soon as the bleeding stops from childbirth, you're under obligation to pray.
I thought it was the thing where if a woman bleeds for 40 days, up to 40 days, she can, anything beyond 40 days and she carries on bleeding is considered abnormal, and therefore she just does her ghusl to do it. Obviously, if it stops before, you do your ghusl before, but if a woman continues to bleed beyond 40 days, I've heard that at 40 days she then must take a ghusl and pray as normal, despite there being blood, because it's considered something, I guess, similar to incontinence in that it's not normal.
The thing is that the category of mustahida is a different category. I do not know of women who've given birth and they bleed for 40 days because there's something major wrong.
So, but if that does happen,
they need to get medical help.
Yeah.
Women do not bleed for 40 days after childbirth.
Yeah.
They just don't bleed that long. I've had 66 children, so I know that much. Mustahida, which is a category, of where the woman bleeds abnormally. Now, this category is again found in our books. It just shows how bad women's health was. In this country, alhamdulillah, that a woman won't bleed for that long abnormally, because what used to happen was that most women know their period of bleeding. The maximum that the madhab has for bleeding is 2 weeks, 15 days total. After 15 days is graded as abnormal. Yeah. So after 2 weeks, she will be she will be under obligation to pray, to fast, and have intercourse. But if a woman is bleeding, after that period, she needs to get medical help. That's what my advice is, because a woman does not bleed for that long.
I've had times where friends of mine have said that their period might have changed completely, where it doesn't follow their usual cycle anymore, and they've obviously gone to get medical help for it, but it has gone beyond. Yeah,
but what happens is that the mashhur of the madhab is 2 weeks, 15 days, and after that is graded as abnormal bleeding. So the maximum period a woman will bleed is 15 days, 2 weeks, and after that is abnormal. For the postnatal, as soon as the bleeding stops after childbirth, they're under obligation. The rest period, alhamdulillah, they're welcome to rest, but they're under obligation to pray. Ejaculation, that's discharge of semen, needs to happen naturally. If there's a discharge of semen that occurs unnaturally, it will not obligate ghusl, it will obligate wudu. Someone in shock will sometimes ejaculate. The books record being stung by a scorpion or something that someone discharge. I've heard of people riding horses, but it's unnatural. So those will only obligate wudu. It will not obligate ghusl, and it has to natural. So if there's wet dream, normal sexual intercourse or whatever, it will obligate ghusl. Okay, number 4. Please excuse, this is the text. It literally means penetration. By penetration, it means the head of the penis will penetrate. Doesn't matter what it penetrates. If it penetrates the opposite sex or the same sex, front or back, dead or alive, animal, all of these, any category you can think of, it will obligate ghusl.
Any orifice.
Any orifice. Is there any questions on those so far? I think that was clear. Okay, now '87 and '82. The first two, menstrual bleeding and postnatal bleeding will negate, there can't be any sexual intercourse. They prohibit sexual intercourse. Till there's ghusl. Till there's ghusl. The others, the Quran. About the Quran, because it's specific to women, when they're in their menses, if they are learning, if they're doing hifz or learning to read, if they are teaching, they can touch the mushaf, they can write the mushaf, they can read the mushaf.
If you're not learning hifz,
if you're not learning, if you're not teaching, you can't touch the mushaf.
Can you recite Quran?
You can recite it.
From memory, that's fine.
Yeah.
Because some you use on your phone.
Phone is not mushaf.
No, I'm just covering.
No, phone is not mushaf. I'm covering myself as well. Yeah? We're talking about mushaf. Mushaf.
Okay.
Yeah?
Sheikh, some people, anything that's binded with Arabic that has Quran in it is a mushaf, isn't it?
No. But we're talking about, when we're talking about the Quran, we're talking about, what's known as Quran, which is the mushaf.
Okay.
Yeah? Well, the written Quran, beginning with the Ba of Bismillah, ending with the scene of Nas, what's in between, that's what we're talking about. Yeah? If, again, those categories is because the woman is out of her control. Do you remember what we were talking about before? She can't go into the state of tahara, so she should not be stopped from benefiting herself and benefiting others. Yes.
What about being in a masjid or the space of...
We're coming to that.
Okay.
We're coming to that.
Sorry, could you just repeat that? What you just said about touching the Quran? If you're learning...
If you're a learner,
yeah.
If you're a teacher, yeah, you can teach it and you can learn it. Okay. In the state of Hayd, those 2 weeks, and the period of postnatal. But only that period. Once your bleeding stops, you can't touch it, you cannot read it, you cannot write it until you take ghusl, because that license has expired. Because it's only because at those period of time you just can't go into the state of purity. Yes.
So you couldn't just recite, it must be a learning, like memorizing a surah or something, then you can, but not specifically to recite.
No, if you know something by memory, there's nothing stopping you.
Yeah, but reciting, to read the Quran, to recite, not... I'm just wondering what is the difference between learning and what else?
No,
we're
we're talking about, the sanctity of, the written Quran. Because the mashhur of the madhab is that Imam Malik radhiallahu anh does not permit, someone in a state of not being in wudu to touch the Quran. He said that someone who's not in wudu, with his staff, he can't even his bag. What are these? The strap. You can't even touch the strap with your walking stick, in which the Quran is, if you're not in wudu. But the thing is that it's just when you understand that the Quran is a record of the Word of God. It's not the Word of God; it's a record of the Word of God. But it is attached to God. So if you can't talk to Him and you can't go into His presence without being, what we're covering now, being in that state of purity, how can you, repeat His words? And because the woman is given special, license, because, she's in that state of every month, she's in that state where she can't, even if she tried, she couldn't go into state tahara. So she's permitted to teach and learn. Now, why the fuqaha permitted it is because they say that no one should be stopped from the khair from her. The good that comes from her, that she's teaching, or she's learning. And it's only a short period of time that a learner is learning. Well, the teacher, that's for life, that's a different thing. Yes?
I was thinking, this Ramadan, during Laylatul Qadr, I had my period, and I wasn't not angry, but it just makes me upset because you cannot actually read the Quran then.
But you can listen to it. No. But you could read it. Yeah. There's nothing stopping you from reading it.
Sure.
No, but you couldn't touch it. You couldn't touch it.
You can recite from your phone though.
But again, reciting, it's
borderline, isn't
It's not borderline. It's just that what happens is it's that people's minds are very closed. Yeah. There is nothing stopping you reading the Quran with not being in tahara. Because I'll give you an example. Listen to me. If you go to the Muwatta, you'll find it. Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu was reciting the Quran. He had the Mus'haf. Sayyidina Umar, he's reciting the Quran. He goes to call of nature, comes back and carries on reading the Quran. And someone says, Sidi, he says, yes, I'm not touching it.
Yeah.
He said, I'm not touching it.
So, I don't understand why touching the Quran in not being in wudu is such a big deal, because it's not like the Quran was revealed with that book.
I know, but the thing is, it's the whole thinking is what it is. When you understand what it is, then you understand the reason why. It's like, the mosque. We designate that piece of space that we're going to pray there. Yeah? It's just a piece of land, isn't it? That we've designated. God's not designated it. But we won't go there in the state of Junub. Because just as men can't go to the mosque in the state of Junub, women can't go into that area either. Yes?
Could we ask for a definition of the Mus'haf? Because people say if it's got tafsir, it's not Mus'haf.
No, it's not. It has to be Arabic only.
So anything, even if it's got an introduction with this is the start of Tajweed or...
No, that's not Mus'haf.
So
it has to be Arabic only.
So the chances are none of us have got Mus'haf at home. Because they've all...
No, a lot of us have.
Okay.
But the thing is that we're talking about, the Mus'haf itself. Yeah, if it's got small introduction, it's fine. But if it's got English translation with Quran, that's not Mus'haf.
Even if it has the Arabic along.
If it has Arabic with it, it's not Mus'haf. It comes under tafsir. You can touch it without wudu. Yes.
So like a woman on her menses could read Quran from one that had English and Arabic.
She could.
Okay.
It'd be better if she didn't.
Okay. Just avoid it.
No, it's just that what you've got to understand is that there are other ways of getting close to God.
Is out of respect.
Yeah, it's like if you know whatever you know by memory, just use that. Use a tasbih.
Use your phone.
Yeah, use your phone.
Yeah. And also, I might miss this, but if on your menses, can you not go to the mosque?
We're coming to that now.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All of them, all of the categories, the woman in her menses, the woman bleeding after post-childbirth, the woman in the state of junub, who needs a ghusl after sexual intercourse, or the man who needs a ghusl after sexual intercourse, or if he's ejaculated, none of these categories are permitted to enter the mosque.
Really?
None of them.
Is it the back?
Even at the back.
So, but then it comes down to definition of what is the mosque, because a lot of places...
We're talking about mosque, masjid. We're not talking about community centres.
What about zawiyas?
Zawiyas, yes.
What? Yes, what?
Yes, they can.
They can enter.
They can enter.
What is that?
A zawiya is where, people go and sit and do dhikr.
Oh, okay.
It's not designated as a mosque.
What is the definition?
What is a mosque then? Because if you pray in a zawiya, it's a mosque as well.
No. Zawiyas have zawiya mosques.
Okay.
This is it, the definition of what is a masjid. If you designate a space specifically for prayer and
Yes,
prayer
that is a mosque.
Then that is a mosque.
That is a mosque. It's like, I'll give you an example. What's the difference between a madrasa and a mosque?
Madrasa is for learning.
Madrasa is for learning. A zawiya is for doing dhikr.
But isn't the salah the main concept?
No, but the thing is, in the madrasa, there's a mosque. In the zawiya, there's a mosque.
And that's a mosque that you can't enter.
Yeah, that's a mosque that you can't enter.
Wait.
Are you talking about a designated space?
Yes.
Not even the wudu, just that area.
That's just that area.
But the zawiya to have is this, the zawiya and the mosque is the same.
No,
Just because.
there's a difference.
Does it depend on how it's used? For instance,
What you'll
is a
find.
great example. This space is used as a masjid, as a community centre, as a zawiya, as it has many uses.
Yeah.
When we pray for salah, as we did for Dhuhr, this specific space then becomes a masjid. But now we are studying, it becomes a madrasa.
So this is not a mosque. This is a we're talking about masjid. Yeah, we're not talking about a musalla. Musalla is where people just come and pray.
So just going back to the zawiya.
Right. Zawiya. I'll give you an zawiya. If you ever come to Birmingham, you come to. It's called the Zawiya. It's called it's got a sign that says the Zawiya on Jenkins Street. With you'll have to walk right through the building, right at the back. Yeah, and that's where we pray.
But I mean, like for example,
you wouldn't women. But we've not declared any of the building as a mosque.
Okay,
if we declare any of that area as a masjid, women in their menses would not be permitted.
But for example, like in Morocco, it's not like a designated area for prayer. The zawiya, you pray in the zawiya. So
depends on whose zawiya. Because the zawiyas have zawiya mosques.
Now it's getting intense.
My question: what is the difference then between a masjid and a musalla? Because a musalla is just a place where you pray, versus a masjid, which is essentially
we're talking about masjid. Right, masjid is first of all, masjid is where people have agreed, the whole locality comes and establishes the prayer. Yeah? A musalla is where, passers-by will pray. It's, not designated as anything. It's just where people pray. Yeah? Masjid is that, is designated. It's always a waqf for God. Yeah? This is not the time to go into it. Majority of the mosques in this country, majority of them do not come under the definition of mosque in Maliki fiqh.
So then that's a mushkila for Jum'ah.
It isn't. We follow the Hanafis.
Could a woman, because so often there are talks and stuff in masjids proper that a woman can't attend.
But the thing is, what they've done is that you see, a majority of mosques in this country have a designated prayer hall. Right? It says prayer hall.
Yeah.
So what we're talking about is that woman in that time can't enter that prayer hall. So wherever the woman's prayer hall is, she can't go there either.
Yeah. But say they're running a class.
Yeah.
They do it in the prayer hall because that's typical.
Yeah. They shouldn't do it.
I know, but they do, and that's the only place for a woman to get knowledge. Could she
Can't
say this isn't a Maliki place? This is not a masjid by the Maliki.
No, it's not a Maliki thing.
Okay.
This is not a Maliki thing.
Right.
What do you mean it's not a Maliki thing? As in, so our local mosque, they haven't designated it. It's not.
No. What I'm saying is that women in their menses not coming into mosques is not a Maliki thing. It's a carte blanche.
Yeah, but can she say, look, by Malik's madhab, this isn't a mosque?
No, but the thing is, you can't. What I'm saying is that where the prayer hall is, she can't go.
Even if there's a lesson there.
Even if there's a lesson there, what you need to do is become members of the mosque committee and change it from within.
We're struggling just to get in with our and now we're going to have to go in and get this
Can we? I do need to move on, but what we've got to what we've got to understand in this country, that all of the mosques that I am familiar with up and down the country, they have designated, prayer halls. Yeah? So, the non-prayer hall, women can go to.
Yeah, I understand.
If you need to go in there for necessity's sake, if there's something kind of pressing and urgent, you are allowed to.
Yeah, if you convince yourself.
This is very basic.
That's true. If I can convince myself there's a reason to go in.
The thing is that, foreknowledge is dangerous knowledge. The thing is, when you know, then you try to convince yourself, then you're just kidding yourself. Yeah. It's like, my sheikh says that, you should have adab and seek the sheikh's permission. So this fakir went and he had the plane ticket in his pocket and said, Sidi, do you give me permission to go abroad? So you should have asked me before you brought the ticket. Yeah? It's like, when you already know what you're going to do, then it's pointless asking. But the thing is, what we're saying is, look, if you go really into the nitty-gritty of it, it all goes down to the laws of purity. Yeah? So because a woman at that period of time has no way of purifying herself. Yeah? Because she can't go into the state of purity, she's not permitted to come into the mosque. When, the bleeding stops, the man and woman can take the ghusl. They have to take the ghusl before they can enter the mosque. It's not just the woman that stopped, it's the man that stopped as well. Yeah? Inshallah.
Sheikh, we just have a question. You keep on mentioning the mashhur.
Yeah.
Obviously you've got the mashhur, you've got the raji', and then you've got the da'if. Mashhur is predominantly Imam Malik, and then who else do you have? Like, obviously in the Maliki school and the Shafi school, you have, and all of the schools you have that following, like you have 3 or 2 or 3 main shuyukh that would fit into the categories.
What we have is, look, we've got in the school there's mashhur, which is well known opinion, and then the definition of that is that the majority of the scholars hold that opinion.
Okay.
Yeah. Then you have rajih. Yeah. Rajih means that majority it has the strongest evidence for it, a majority of scholars who adhere to it.
Yeah.
What's the thing that's similar to rajih? The definition of rajih, the overwhelming and the well-known, is majority of scholars adhere to it.
Yeah.
So the rajih and the mashhur is a synonym for both.
Okay.
And what you do is you go to Qutb Dardir's Aqrab al-Masalik, which has the rajih of the madhab.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
You'll find that the well-known of the madhab. The nitty-gritty is that when push comes to shove, from the companions of Imam Malik, the one that the school will give preference to is Ibn al-Qasim.
Okay.
Ibn al-Qasim in the Mudawwan al-Kubra is the strongest.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what the well-known Raji is. Yeah. Okay. Any questions on ghusl? We're finishing with ghusl. Yeah. So with the women not being permitted into the mosque area, is the men are not permitted without ghusl either. So it's not, something that should be looked at, that, women are being kept away.
It's a permanent state though, isn't it? So it comes back to that question about, you can keep benefiting yourself from the must-have. And if, for example, you're following a course, so I was just recently following a course, which was 2 months in the seerah of the Prophet, and that was in the mosque. And the mosque is all consecrated as mosque, so it's in the prayer hall. So it would have meant missing, 2 lessons, actually, a week's worth of lessons. So that's where it becomes a question, because it's a permanent state that you can't come out of, and that you use that when you're studying Quran, why does that not apply then to studying in the masjid with a dedicated shaykh on this dedicated course?
The thing is that you see, again, our Muslim community has a lot of shortcomings. It was a lot of the stuff was established by people who came from villages who had zero understanding of the deen. They came to better themselves worldly in this country. That's what they did. Yeah. So they knew that in the villages they prayed, and they brought the scholarship that came over was those village scholarships. So the understanding was very limited. They did not have that forethought. Yeah. Because in the villages, women never go to the mosque. So there was never understanding that women will better themselves and want this. So now what they're doing is they're just doing what they're doing. But what they need to do is that sisters like yourselves need to raise your voice and say, look, you need to do something for us better than this.
We'll do it ourselves, because otherwise...
No, yeah, do it yourselves.
But, yeah, I was wondering whether that's acceptable.
No, the opinion is across the board. It's not just Malik's opinion.
Yeah, if a woman does go into the mosque while she's on her menses, is that just a spiritual thing between you and God? You can make tawbah afterwards, I mean... Shall I be devil's advocate? Who's going to know? No, but the overwhelming guilt that you feel like you're...
That's between you and your God.
Just go to the lessons.
No, the thing is, what you've got to understand is that people need to demand that provision is given, and knowing about the Prophet ﷺ is fardul ayn. Yeah? And the madhab is that you can't stop the women from learning the wajibat. Okay, inshallah, can we come together now? Tayammum. What time is Asr here?
It's past.
We were into Asr already.
You're into Asr? Okay.
4:37.
Can we take a break for Asr and then... Who needs to do wudu?